Good morning, class and children. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, and as per your routine, you have English literature to continue. And if you remember, last time in our English literature online class, we had started with the second last chapter that we had remained in the uh, short story portion, and the story was All Summer in a Day, written by the American author Ray Douglas Bradbury. And there we had already seen the opening of the story. The author has taken us to planet Venus and is telling us about the features, the conditions of planet Venus, and it is knowledge for all we earthly people to understand that how our planet Venus is in reality. So uh, before we catch up the remaining portion in the story, we first and foremost let us discuss about what you have been doing so far. Uh, Hope you all are safe and fine and carry on with your online tutorial studies as provided by all the subject teachers, and also working with your home assignments and maintaining your exercise notes up to date. So please carry on with those. And at the same time, I would like to suggest you keep viewing the tutorial videos so as to get lessons being given to you by all the subject teachers. This is very sad in the part to know that many of you are completely neglecting those tutorial videos, and they are not bothered, or at least bothered to view those tutorial videos. So time loss is lost forever. Please keep this in mind. Uh, and I have been telling you now and then whatever chapters that would be taught after the school gets reopened uh, would be like uh, would be discussed on the remaining portions, because whatever taught through online classes, they would most probably not repeat it. So if you are not watching these videos and taking the lessons what are being taught by the teachers, you are at a great loss. So please keep this in mind and keep watching the videos and try understanding all those taught lessons that uh, are there in the syllabus. So please do it. Now let us come back to our story. All Summer in a Day, written by Ray Douglas Bradbury. So we had seen the story takes place in planet Venus, and the setting of the story is in a school. The school is in planet Venus. There are the small kids who are all aged 9, and today is the day as the scientists have like given the idea that that day would be the sunrise in planet Venus, because the author told us that the sun rises only for 1 hour uh, after every 7 years in planet Venus. So the children are long awaited to see the sun rising in the sky. So the whole 7 years, there would be rainfall and rainfall and rainfall. That's what we saw, right? And the protagonist of this story, Margot, is a little girl of 9 years old. She was here on Earth till the age of 4, and it's been now 5 years she's there in the planet Venus. But look at her nature. She is completely different than all the other children um, who are originally okay from planet Venus, or those children who have traveled up there to the planet Venus before Margot reached there, right? So she is a very feeble girl, a very weak child, and completely um, remains aloof than the other children in the school. And you saw how the other okay children are in the school, and they are of a different character, right? They are of different characteristics. They have their own nature to live there in planet Venus, right? And as there is no sun sign, uh, the children are completely of a pale look, and even the outside atmosphere is also colorless, because there is rainfall and rainfall and rainfall, right? And one such naughty child we came across in this story, he was William. And look at the way how he treated Margot. He has no mind even to push her, right? And he strongly opposes whatever here Margaret tells about the sun. She says that the sun is roundish in shape, it is like coin, it is very hot, but the other children protested, right? Because it is Margaret who has remained here on earth for 4 years of her life. So she has seen the sun daily. But those children who are okay in the planet Venus, uh, they had seen the sun when they were just 2 years old. Because after every 7 years there is the rise of the sun, and the sun remains there in the sky only for 60 minutes, only for 1 hour, right? Understand? So how come these children who were 2 years old when they had seen the sun would still remember how a sun looks like? That was very tough for them to recall about the sun. And the next time today they are going to okay, view it. So they are all anxiously waiting to see the sunrise, right? And meanwhile the teacher is for some time was out of the class, and the children, what did they do, you see, right? So let us now continue what the remaining portion the author has to say about planet Venus, and the reason why the author has written this story for us, right? So let us see. So we have reached page number 110. See the last paragraph to begin today. So see, you are lying, you don't remember, cried the children. So the children uh, of Venus, they protested against Margaret, saying, when Margaret said that the sun looks like penny. Penny is a coin like, right? Or coin you can call. It is roundish in shape, right? And she said this even closing her eyes, because she has already seen the sun, right? She is used to with the sun here on earth. So no, it is not, the children cried. But the children opposed and said that no, the sun does not look like penny. It is not round in shape. The children protested. It is like a fire, she said in the storm. And she even said that the sun is a huge ball of fire. Just like when the gas stove is burned, you get the heat of the fire. Likewise, it is a huge ball of fire, right? But the children said that you are lying. You are a liar. Margot, you are a liar. You don't remember anything. They protested against the saying, right? The children of Venus. Now what happens? Let's continue. But she remembered and stood quietly apart from all of them. But she remembered because she knows how a sun is. Right? She is used to living her life here on earth for 4 years. And then she went up to Venus because her parents wanted a change in the settlement. So they have shifted to planet Venus. Now see, but she remembered and stood quietly. Quietly means silently, apart from, away from all of them. So she maintained her own gap, right? Margot did not mix with the other children of planet Venus, and watched the pattering windows, and she kept looking outside when the rain is falling down on the window panes and producing the pattering sound, right? At once, suddenly, a month ago, you see, she had refused to shower in the school shower. So she had refused to take bath in the school okay, bathing room, right? Shower room, had clutched her hands. So they had held her hands. Clutch means to hold tightly her hands to her ears and over her head, screaming the water mustn't touch her head. Right? So that was the incident that had taken place a month ago up in the planet Venus when they were in the school. So after that, dimly, that means slowly and slowly, slightly and slightly, she sensed it. She then realized it. She was different, and they knew her difference and kept away. Right? So she then understood here that she was a different girl. She is not the girl originally from planet Venus. She has gone up to planet Venus with her parents, right? And she has come down from Earth, or come from Earth. There was talk that her father and mother were taking her back to Earth next year, but there was a talk among the family of Margot that soon they are going to shift again back to Earth. Perhaps the parents have seen uh, the child Margot, how she became when she had been taken to planet Venus, right? That's why the parents perhaps felt guilty of the change of settlement, so they wanted to again shift back to Earth, right? The very next day they are going to return. So see, it seemed vital, so it seemed very important to her that they do so, that they must come back to Earth. It is a very important thing for the parents of Margaret to realize this, right? Though it would mean the loss of thousands of dollars to a family, but it would be a heavy expense, right, of shifting again back to Earth, because they have already spent a lot of amount from going to planet Venus, right? And now again to come back from planet Venus to Earth, right, will take another heavy expense, right? So perhaps the parents are with a plan to take the family, the whole family, back to Earth, but it needs a lot of expense, so they are waiting uh, uh, to accumulate the amount so that they can be comfortable to again travel from planet Venus to Earth, right? And so the children hated her for all these reasons of big and little consequence, right? That's why the other children started hating Margot, right? Because Margot is now soon going back to Earth, right? So the other children started hating her, right? And they treated her with little importance, right? That was the result, right? So see, they hated her pale snow face, her waiting silence, her thinness, and her possible future. So these all children hated her for her pale snow face. She was whitish in color, though colorless. Her waiting silence, she always used to be silent, right? Whenever she was in the class. Her thinness, she was a very feeble child, a very weak child, a bony child, and a possible future, right? And what would be her future ahead in her life, right? That's why the children from Venice, they did not cope with her. They did not want to be very friendly with her. So they treated her aloof. Now see, get away. The boy gave her another push. So look at the treatment that Margot received in the classroom, right? That boy is William, who already pushed her once, right? Very forcefully, right? Once again, he pushed her, telling her to get away, go away from here, right? He gave another push. What are you waiting for? And he objected, right? Telling Margot what was she waiting there? Why was she standing there? Right? He pushed her, right? Then for the first time, she turned and looked at him, and this is the first time that she looked at him very, very sternly, right? Angrily, right? Listen now. And what she was waiting for was in her eyes, and what she was waiting for was clearly seen in her eyes, right? She was waiting to see the sun, like all other children who are there, right? To see the sun, right? Which is rising after 7 years, though only for 1 hour, right? So she also has that anxiousness to view the sun, right? After 7 years. Now see, well, don't wait around here, cried the boy savagely. But William again scolded, shouted at Margaret, telling that, well, don't wait around here. That means don't be here. You go away from here, right? He shouted savagely. Savagely means wildly, uncivilized way, right? In a barbaric way, right? You won't see anything. And he protested the girl that she won't be saying anything. She wouldn't be seeing anything. Her lips moved. Her lips wanted to say something, or she wanted to say something, right? But she did not. Nothing, he cried. But before she could speak anything, the boy William stopped her, telling, don't speak anything, nothing. Keep your mouth shut. Right? It was all a joke, wasn't it? He uh, uh, behaved so rudely with Margot. He turned to the other children, and then he looked at these fellows, all those children who are originally from planet Venus, right? And then he said something. So what did he say? He said, nothing is happening today, is it? So he told his friends, right? telling that today nothing is happening, right? And he wanted an answer, the positive answer to support in his side, right? And told, is it okay happening something? He asked his friends. They all blinked at him. They all looked at him and blinked his eyes, right? Right? Blinked their eyes, and then understanding. So these all fellows understood uh, what here William was up to, laughed and shook their heads, and they all laughed, and then they said, right, by shaking their head, no, we are not going to see anything. Nothing is going to happen. Anything, right? Understand? So it was William who was a bully, right? He is the antagonist of the story, right? Yes or no? So nothing, all the children cried together. That means nothing is going to happen today, though there was something going to happen. But these children, they wanted that Margot should not participate in this happening, right? So they all followed what William told them, right? Oh, but Margot whispered, her eyes helpless. But this is the day the scientists predict. They say they know the sun. But she tried to resist. She said that, but oh, something is going to happen. Here, Margot whispered, she said in a soft voice, in a low voice, her eyes helpless. Now, but she could not help herself because she was all alone, right? But this is the day, she said, but today is the day that the scientists have predicted that the sun is going to rise in the sky, right? She said, but all together, again, those boys, those children said what? All a joke, said the boy. But William again said, it is a joke, right? It's funny. There's nothing seriousness in what scientists said, right? And seized her roughly, and she caught hold of Margot very, you can say forcefully, right? Hey everyone, and he called his supporters, the other children. Let us put her in a closet before the teacher comes. So let us put her into a cupboard, close it in a cupboard before the teacher gets in, before the teacher comes to know what we have done, right? So look at here, what do the children of Venus actually want to do? They wanted to deprive her from joy and the happiness that she would be getting after the sun rises, right? So these children, they don't want Margot to participate in this joy, in this joyful moment, right? Yes or no? Because they all know that she is also equally very anxious to see the sun rise in the sky, right? So they don't want to let us see that. That's why these all boys went with a plan, right? Now William caught hold of her forcefully, and he wanted others to join him in his plan and take her out and lock her in the cupboard, right? Now see, no, said Margot, falling back. But Margot tried to resist. She tried to say no to what they are doing. She said no, right? She tried to go back, fall back, right? Listen. They surged about her, but they moved forward very forcefully with her. They pushed her, right? Caught her up and bore her, and they all caught her up and then carried her. Bore means carry. They carried her, right? Forcefully, protesting, right? Being against, and then pleading, and then requesting, right? And then crying back into the tunnel, right? But the poor child Margot, they protested. She protested, right? She even requested. She even pleaded, begged, please don't do this with me, right? I also want to take, you can say, part in this joyful moment to view the sun, right? But she ended up crying. She ended up crying there. Back into the tunnel. They carried her into the tunnel, right? They went into a room. They opened the room. There was a closet. There was a cupboard, right? Where they slammed and locked the door. They put her inside, right? And then they shut the door of the cupboard. They locked her in, right? So look at these naughty children. How did they behave with Margot, right? They stood looking at the door and saw it trembling from her beating and throwing herself against it. So these all children who had put Margot inside the cupboard, right, and locked the door, they waited for some moment, right, to see the reaction. Inside the cupboard, Margot was, right, beating to let the door open, right? But the children did not do so. They did not let her open. They heard her muffled cries. So they heard her, muffled means suppressed cries, in a very low voice. She was crying inside the cupboard, right? She was begging, she was crying, but the children did not, uh, I mean, uh, feel mercy to let her open from that cupboard and also give her a chance to look at the sun, right, which is rising after 7 years in planet Venus. Then, smiling, they turned and went out and back down the tunnel just as the teacher arrived. Then they smiled as if they have done the biggest thing in their lives, right? They then turned to the tunnel. They went back to their classroom, to their classroom, and then the teacher arrived in the classroom, right? But the teacher did not know what these naughty children have done, right? The children then questioned, "Ready, children?" She glanced at her watch, right? So she came inside and thereafter told the children, "Are we all ready?" Right? And she looked at the watch. She glanced. She looked at the watch, right? Which is a signal that now the sun is about to rise, as per the timing given by the scientist. "Yes," said everyone. The children all unanimously said, "Yes, we all are ready." Right? "Are we all here?" The teacher asked. Right? Or has anyone gone out? Right? Maybe to washroom or anywhere. Right? She asked. Then all the children said, "Yes, we all are inside." But nobody did open the mouth that they have taken Margot to somewhere else. Right? That's right. Or nobody said, "Okay, that Margot is missing." The rain slacked still more, right? The rain slowed down after some time, right? They crowded to the huge door, and all the children now rushed to the big door, the huge door, which is going to open, right? The rain stopped, and finally the rain stopped, right? The rain stopped after raining for 7 long years, right? It was as if in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, and look at the moment, right, after the rain stopped. It was as if, right, it was like in the midst of a film, right, as if you were watching a film which is concerning to an avalanche. Avalanche is the melting of the snow, right? A tornado or a violent storm or a hurricane, the movement of the storm, a volcanic eruption that has taken place. Something had first gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus muffling and finally cutting off all noise, all of the blast and repercussions and thunders. Repercussions means results and thunders. And then second, ripped the film from the projector and inserted in its place a beautiful tropical slide which did not move or tremor. Look at the change, right? As soon as the rain stopped, right? You are viewing a very dangerous movie, right, where the scene is of an avalanche or a volcanic eruption that has taken place or a hurricane has hit or a tornado has hit, right? This and now, and all of a sudden the picture got changed, right? This time when the rain stopped, now what happens? See, the world ground to a standstill. The world came to silence, right? The world came to silence. The silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed or you had lost your hearing altogether. So it was pin drop silence, right? It was such silence that it was unbelievable for anybody to know it, right? That your ears had been stuffed with something, right? Like the ear holes have been stuck with the cotton, right? So that you don't hear anything, right? That and see, or else you have lost your hearing sense. Such was the sight now. The children put their hands to their ears. So the children put their hands to their ears to know that whether they were hearing or whether they are knowing was exactly true, right? So see, they stood apart and they stood separated to one another. The door slid back, the door opened, right? And the smell of the silent waiting world came into them. And right after 7 years, the door got open, and now they are seeing the outside, right? Beautiful nature of the world. The sun came out, and the sun rose in the sky. The sun was visible now. It was the color of flaming bronze. Look at the change of the nature, uh, the color when the sun came up in the sky, right? So it looked flaming bronze, golden in color, brownish in color, and it was very large. And the sky around it was a blazing blue tile color, and the sky was bluish in color, right? Listen, and the jungle burned with sunlight, and the jungle seemed all shining, right? As the children released from their spell, right? From their magic, as if the children are here out of their magic, right? Rushed out, they all came out hurriedly. yelling into the springtime, and they were all shouting as if they are very happy in the spring season, right? Then see, now don't go too far, called the teacher after them. But the teacher was shouting at them, don't go very far, right? Because the sunrise will remain only for 1 hour. So within this 1 hour, they have to, uh, I mean, take the full enjoyment of the rise of the sun, right? And they have to be back again inside their room, and the door will be locked, right? You have only 2 hours, you would not want to be caught out. So don't be gone so far where you'll be get caught, where you'll not be able to come back to your respective rooms, right? So before that, before the sun hides or before the rain falls again, let get inside. The teacher warned the children. But they were running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. But look at the merriment of these children, right? These children are now as if the Jew animals are released from the Jew, right? They all ran here, there, taking the full enjoyment of the sunrise, right? They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms, so they opened their jackets and they let the sun burn their body, right? So how enjoying the moment the children felt when there was the rise of the sun. Oh, it is better than the sun lamps, isn't it? They all said, right? Some of the children, okay, here said that they found the rise of the sun is so beautiful, so nice, right? This time, much better. The other responded saying that, right? It is much better than living inside in the lamplight, right? They stopped running and stood in the great jungle that covered Venus. So they ran and then they stopped, right? And they saw the jungle of planet Venus that grew and never stopped growing. But these jungle, right, trees were growing and they never stopped growing tumultuously. Tumultuous means uproar with a sound. Even as you watched it, it was a nest of octopi, right? So it was a nest of octopi. You feel as if these trees were just like octopi, right? The plural of octopus, right? Which is with tentacles, right? Which is colorless, right? Fleshy color, right? Clustering of great arms of flesh like weed, right? So the trees were grown, right? Just like the octopi, right? So there was no greenery, right? There's no wavering, flowering in this brief stream. So such was the look of the Venus forest in the presence of the sunlight, right? So the greenery is nowhere there, right? It looked very pale. It looked just like the branches of the trees, the roots of the trees looked like octopi, right? It was the color of rubber and ash. Such was the color of the trees, right? The plants. This jungle from the many years without sun. So what was the reason behind these colorless trees growing there? It was the absence of sun, right? So see how important is the sunrise for everybody, right? Even the nature needs the natural sunlight, right? If it is not there, see the color is gone, greenery is gone, right? Greenness is nowhere seen. So it was the color of stones and white cheeses. Again, look at the color. The very trees look like stone colors. They look white cheeses and look like ink color, right? Black and blue. And it was the color of the moon. So it was the color of the moon, refers to silver. It was silver in color. So nowhere there was greenery. So you have seen, right? So how will you adjust your living, right, in such a planet where there is no greenery, right? So it's very tough for we all people from Earth to shift ourselves to to get the settlement in another planet like Venus, where there is no greenery, where there is only rainfall for 7 long years, and the sunrise is only for 1 hour, 60 minutes, right? Is it possible for us to cope with the environment of a planet like Venus? I think not at all, right? So see, the children lay out laughing on the jungle mattresses, but the children enjoyed the presence of the sun, right? That's right. So you saw and heard it sigh and squeak. Squeak is shouting at a very high pitch voice, right? Under there is silent and alive. They ran among the trees, but the merriment did not stop. Right? The 60 minutes right now were filled with lot of vitality, lot of energy, right? Lot of enthusiasm for these children. Right? They began to run here and there among the trees. They slipped and fell. Some of them even slipped and fell because you see it has been raining and raining, and the ground surface is slippery. Some of them slipped and even fell down. Right? They pushed each other, right, to go further, right, or to have a better glimpse. Right? They played hide and seek and even time. Right? See, but most of them, they squinted at the sun. Squinted means they looked through the sun, right, at the sun until the tears ran down their eyes, their faces. Now you see, right? So some of them kept glancing at the sun, looking at the sun, right, where they have tears in the eyes, right, which fell down from their faces. They put their hands up to that yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh air and listened to the silence which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. Right? But look at the moment for these children. Everywhere there was silence now, right? Because the rain has stopped falling. Right? There is silence. Everything is stood still, and the children are enjoying their moment of being in this okay, sunrise time. Right? They looked at everything and savored everything. They looked at everything and savored. Savored means enjoyed everything to whatever they look. Right? Then wildly, right? Then like uncivilized, like animals, escaped from their caves. They ran and ran in shouting circles. So look at the enjoyment that the children took, right? At the moment when there was sunrise, they were just like the freed animals from the caves, from the Jews, right? They ran here, ran there, everywhere possible, taking the fullest enjoyment of their lives. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. So continuously for 16 minutes, these children were seen running here and there, running here and there, right? And then in the midst of their running, one of the girls wailed. And as they were running, right, in the middle of their running, one of the girls, right here, cried. Well means cried, right? Everyone stopped. Hearing the cry of this girl, everyone stood there. The girl standing in the open held out her hand. She stretched her hand. The girl who wailed, the girl who cried, she then stretched her hand with the open palm. Right? Oh, look, look, she said, trembling. And then she showed, right, with her shaking hand, right now, that she suggested everyone to look in her palm, what happened, right? Then they came slowly to look at her open palm. So the children who have been running so far suddenly stopped. They all came to see in the palm what was there. In the center of it, in the center of the palm of the girl, cupped and hues, which is cupped says, right, was a single raindrop. There was a fall of a raindrop. She began to cry, looking at it, right? They glanced quietly at the sun, right? And she began to cry, taking a look at this raindrop, right? And they all looked at the sun quietly, right? Now look at the change of the moment, right? In the presence of the sun, how the children were. And now the rain is going to fall back again, right? And they started feeling bad, feeling very sad. Of again, right? There would be rainfall for 7 another years. Now you see, oh, right? The children all exclaimed because the sun is now retreating. The sun is now hiding. The sun is now going back. Right? A few cold drops fell on their noses. A few cold drops of rain fell on their noses. Right? And their cheeks. Some received on their cheeks and their mouths. Right? The sun faded behind a stir of mist. And the sun faded, disappeared. Right? Behind a move of mist. There was misty, cloudy. Right? A wind blew cold around them. The wind started blowing and it was cold now. They turned and started to walk back toward the underground house. They all, with the head down, feeling very remonstrance on what they experience now. They all moved back to their underground house. Their hands at their sides. Their smiles vanishing away. Their smiles all faded now. Their smiles all disappeared now. Right? Their happiness all gone. Right? A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. And now there was thunder up in the sky, right? And as there was thunder, right, which announced that there would be rainfall again, right? The children ran like anything, right? Tumbling here, tumbling there, right? Lighting, lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile, a half mile. And there the lightning took place. And the lightning here came closer and closer to them. Right? The sky darkened into the midnight in the flash, and the sky became dark. The blue sky suddenly became dark, as if it is now midnight, 12 o'clock night, in a moment, in a flash. So it did not take much time to have a change. Right? This time, look at the moment how it was when there was the sunrise, and look at the moment how it is going to be in the absence of sun. Right? They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment. They stood at the doorway for some time until it was raining hard, and then there is pelting rain. Right? Listen now. They closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons. When they closed the door, they heard the large sound of rainfall. Right? Right? Which fell heavily, and avalanches everywhere and forever. Right? So that was a change. Right, within no time, right, this time. So the presence of a sun is a must if we really want to enjoy our life, right. We need to have sunlight, right. This is what is told in the story, right, this time. So will it be 7 more years, some of the children here asked. Now will it be 7 more years that there would be rainfall in rainfall, right, and then we will see the sun again, right. Yes, 7, right, the teacher perhaps told. So no, then one of them gave a little cry. So one of them shouted. One of them, okay, shouted here, right? Listen. So perhaps here the children came to know, right, that Margaret, whatever she said, right, was really true, right? This one now, she was telling the truth about the sun, right? But these children were protesting, right? These children were against, right? But now they realized that Margaret was very true in telling how a sun looks like or what a sun is, right? Then the child remembered Margot, right? Now they realized that where they had put Margot, right? Then what? The other said, yes or no? So transformation came to them, right? The children here got transformed, right? Now suddenly, okay. She is still in the closet where we locked her. So some children said that she is still in the cupboard where we had locked her, right? They said, Margot? Here, okay, some of them express. Now they wanted to go and take her out. They stood as if someone had driven them, like so many sticks into the floor. Stick means, you can say pointed sticks, that is pierced on the floor. They looked at each other and then looked away, right? They glanced out at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. So they looked outside, which is now raining and raining and raining. They could not meet each other's glances. They could not see each other now. They felt guilty of themselves, what they have done. Right? They now realize that what they did with the Margaret was really not needed. They should not have done. So realization came after they were in the sun. Right? Listen, before the sun rose, they were barbaric, they were all uncivilized, right? But now a transformation was seen in them, right? Their faces were solemn, their faces were serious and pale and colorless, right? Because they have understood their guilt. They looked at their hands and feet, their faces down, right? My God, they all now remembered, isn't it? So their happiness, their excitement, their merriment, laughter, right, all vanished away when the sun disappeared, right? One of the girls said, well, right, no one moved. Go on, whispered the girl, right? Now, so they felt very much ashamed of themselves, what they had done, right, which actually they should not have done, right? Now they walked slowly down the hall in the sound of cold rain, right? They turned through the doorway to the room in the sound of the storm and thunder. Lightning on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked over to the closest door slowly and stood by it. So they took the same path, right, where they had taken and locked Margot. They walked to the tunnel, right, underground, right, tunnel. They came to the room, right, where there was a cupboard in which they had locked Margot. They came, These children came. Behind the closest door was only silence. So they stood okay at the right now uh, cupboard. Right? They found completely silent. Right? They unlocked the door even more slowly and let Margaret out. And they unlocked the door, right? And let Margaret out. Right? So this was a realization that Margaret will have to now wait for another 7 years, right, to catch the glimpse of the sunrise. What she missed today, right, is a long wait. Yes or no? So you understood here how life becomes when you are in a different or when you are in another planet, right? Like many of the people must be hoping that this earth is now more than enough for our living life. Now we need to change our settlement. We need to go somewhere else in another planet to settle out there to live our happy life, cozy life. But the author Ray Douglas Bradbury opened our eyes to let us know that how other planets are, right? So there are so many problems, there are so many difficulties where the Earth humans, like we all, yes or no, cannot survive up there in the other planets because their system is completely different. Their condition is completely different, right? Their features are completely different. Their natures are completely different as compared to ours, right? So we are adapted to, right, in our own environment. We cannot adjust somewhere else, right? So where we are, yes or no, right? In the planet Earth, this is a beautiful place to live in. This is a beautiful planet where there is you see sunrise, right? And all four seasons, and look at the greenery. Everything is very beautiful out here, right? So this is the right place for us to live our life. Know where we should think of going, right? The other planets are beyond our reach, right? We cannot survive out there, right? So this is the best place for us to live our life, right? So we need to uh, be very very happy, right? And think positive and think constructive so that we can make this beautiful earth a beautiful place to live in. So hope you understood the approach of the author, right? So keep revising at home, and you will get the notes, and be busy writing the notes um, in your exercise notebook. So till then, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.